So I had my little wetsuit on and my costume, and it was a set that was on a rig, and so it would be dropped into the water. It was a stairwell with a locked gate, and he explained everything that was going to happen. And he's like, "Okay, but we have to do the thing now." And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "We're going to play pretend." Like, let's go. I love pretend. And he goes, "Okay, I want you to think about Mom and Rachel, my little sister." I'm like, "Okay, I'm thinking about him." And he goes, "I want you to imagine that they died." And I just instantly started crying. And he's like, "All right, let's get it going." So basically, they dropped the set. So we're me, my mom, and my dad in the film are running up the stairs, and we get to the locked gate. I'm screaming, "Daddy!" And then the water rises up. You see me being picked up, and that's the end. It's a very, very short scene.
Welcome to Season 3 of Titanic Talk. Nelson Aspen and Alexandra Boyd launch once again onto the digital airwaves with some very special event episodes. Here we feature stories from the independent documentary Ship of Dreams Titanic Movie Diaries and continue to explore all aspects of the iconic ship. From James Cameron's epic, groundbreaking movie to the history and legacy of Titanic herself. Actors, historians, authors, descendants, and fans come here to talk about Titanic. This is your first-class ticket to everything aboard the Ship of Dreams. Ship of Dreams Titanic Movie Diaries is distributed in the US by Freestyle Digital Media. It's now available to rent or own on Apple TV, Amazon, and many other platforms. Please be sure to like and leave a review.
I'm Nelson Aspen, and welcome to another episode of Titanic Talk. And for those of you who have been with us through our dozens and dozens of episodes, you know that the nucleus of this podcast was my co-host Alexandra Boyd's documentary, Ship of Dreams Titanic Movie Diaries, which throws back to the 1997 James Cameron blockbuster. And today, we're going to go back to our roots with a very special guest from said blockbuster. Alexandra, we wouldn't have her without you. Give us an introduction, if you please.
Well, I'm super chuffed, as we say in the UK, because this is another Alex. I was Alex for a very long time until I adopted and grew into Alexandra. But actually, this is an Alexandrea, as many people might not know. But Alex Owens-Sarno is that girl with that angelic face, and now she's a beautiful angelic looking young woman. Alex, welcome, aka Cora, adorbs Cora. Look at you now. How are you doing?
I'm good, a little more grown up than during Titanic.
How old were you?
To be here.
How old were you when you filmed it?
So I got cast when I was 7, and I shortly turned 8 afterwards.
You look so much younger, though.
Yeah, but that's the key to aging so beautifully when you look back at a film from 25 years ago. You have to be 8 at the time of the filming. So you're just now hitting your stride.
Not like the rest of us who are driving into our 60s. Yeah, don't even
I must say, you're both amazing.
Moving on. Just tell us a little bit. I always think I was quite young when I started acting. I was, that sort of deer in the headlights, babe in the woods experience of being surrounded by all these adults in an incredibly adult situation that you have no clue as the actual workings and machinations. Can you describe a little bit, like, once you were cast, that must have been really exciting, but that first day on set, that first couple of days when you were just finding your place in the film?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were so excited when we got the call that I had booked the part. It was my very first acting experience ever of all time. I would do, my sister and I would play pretend, and we'd kind of do that thing. But to actually go onto a set and then have that be your job for the day I didn't really understand it. I think it kind of took a while for me to realize what was going on. I had always wanted to be like in the TV as a little girl. I would watch Barney when I was 4 and try to like figure out how I could get into the television to go be in that world. And so going on set that first day and meeting Jim and meeting Leo and just kind of being told like, all right, now we're just going to play pretend that, you're drawing with him and you're, because the very first scene I shot, it was cut. But it was me and Jack sitting drawing in his notebook, and then Rose comes down to the third class to get him right before they go up to the deck when he shows her his drawings for the first time. So I was kind of like the setup scene for that. And it was just, I don't know, it was so fun because overall it was such a safe experience and everyone really just wanted to make it comfortable for me because I probably had that little kid nervous energy, like, what is even going on? And everyone just made sure that I was always taken care of every time I was on set. And so it
Alex,
was just,
we talked to so many actors from the film who tell us about their audition experiences with some improv and some specifically tailored monologues. Let's start at the beginning. Getting the call, what was the audition? And I mean, were you a Hollywood child? Did your parents have some sort of stage parent mentality?
so I'm from San Diego and there was an open casting call for extras. So we went down for the open casting call. My mom, so I was 7 going on 8, and my sister was about 3.5, 4. And my mom was telling us about the Titanic, and my mom, bless her heart, was a very honest woman. And so she was like, and these are all the people that died. And my sister just burst into tears.
Aw.
And she was just, for how precious I was, she was just a little doll. Like she had the perfect ringlet curls. My curls were actually a perm at the time. And so she had these beautiful curls, and Mally Finn happened to be walking by at that exact moment. And she was like, I want that girl in a costume. I want her on the boat right now, because they were filming the scene where Cal picks up the little girl to get onto the lifeboat, and they were going to have my sister do it. So my mom went off with her. I was with my uncle, and Mally was just like, would you like to audition for this part that I'm auditioning for basically right now? Like that's where she was on her way to. And I was like, sure. So I show up to the line, and it's a lot of little blonde girls. And I'm like, all right. So I get in the back of the line, go in, and she's like, okay, we're gonna dance. So you're gonna stand on my feet, and we're gonna dance a little bit. She had me ad lib a line. She fed it to me, and then I did it. And that was the audition. Just something really, really simple, really easy. Within a week, we got the call, and then yeah, then we ended up on set.
And was your sister in the film? Was she that little girl? No.
She wasn't. Unfortunately, she was overwhelmed, and so she was crying too much.
Uh,
And Jim was kind of like, can't really. Actually, at one point, Jim, I guess, went, can someone get this child's mom? And my mom just goes, I'm right here. And he's like, oh, okay. Unfortunately, we can't use her, but you can see my sister as an extra throughout,
oh, good. So
particularly
she
in the
wasn't
end
left
scene.
out in the cold.
No, 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 no. She was on set. My mom was on set. My mom did actually a couple of the lifeboat scenes when they're coming down the side of the ship. She was in a couple of those scenes as well as kind of stunt E. So yeah, it was a family affair, the 3 of us.
Fantastic.
Oh, is your mum a filmmaker now? Doesn't she make films? You work with her?
She does, yes. Yes. She's been making, finally, after all these years, it's been her dream. She's always been a writer. My family is we're just all kind of very creative on my mom's side. And so now she's finally producing, directing, and writing her own films. I was just in San Diego in July to help her out with one of those, and I had like 2 little bit parts in it, and she was so excited that I was finally doing it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I've been really busy. But yeah, I'm really, really proud of her because, that creative bug bites you and it's not going to leave you until you satisfy it. And she's finally doing it. And I'm so excited.
Oh, that warms the cockles of my heart too, because it does. It takes us at our age, our generation. I'm sure I'm a little older than your mum, but I didn't make my first film till I was 50, and it was too long. We have
Yeah.
had to wait too long to be invited to the table, or invite ourselves to the table and just sit.
Yeah. I mean, my mom has had a child under 18 for 36 years, and he's still not going to be 18 until April. So
How many siblings do you have?
I have three. So my sister and I are full siblings, and then we have two baby half brothers who we're obsessed with, who they're 19 and 17 right now. And yeah, she's been a mom for so long, almost 40 years. And for her to be doing this, I'm so, so, so proud of her.
Well,
And
send her my love and tell her I'm very proud of her. I hope maybe
I
our paths
will.
cross one day in California. What
Yes.
else? What else? Tell us some of the memories, like the dance scene. Like again, there's that gorgeous little shot of you when he says, "You're still my best girl, Cora," and you do that little.
Hmm.
It's just those little moments that stay in your memory. That must have been a long shoot for you as an 8-year-old.
It was, but it there was such a culture, particularly with needing me to do what I needed to do. There was a culture of play. And so it didn't feel like 8 hours or however many hours of work. It felt like, okay, you're going to hang out with your buddy Leo, and he's going to do everything he can to make you laugh. And then we're going to make sure you have enough snacks, and we're just going to play around. And, Jim is notorious for being so serious and very like, everything has to be perfect. And he just approached directing me with this lightness and this, we're here to have fun. Let's have some fun. And I'm really thankful for that because not a lot of kids have that, especially on such a massive, massive set where I'm just like the glitter that's sprinkled throughout the movie. Like it's not about me. So to take that time to make sure that first and foremost, I was having a good time, and then everyone else had to get in line. It was just so much fun. I loved it.
We hear stories about actors' behavior or directors' behavior and the life of a child on set. So if you could maybe tell us about your relationship from an 8-year-old perspective, and especially with the hindsight of time, being able to look back on it, the relationships with Leo and Jim and whoever else you worked with, the fellow playing your father, just the experience. And maybe did you go to school when you weren't on set? Just
Yeah.
the experience of
Yeah.
being a child in this major blockbuster.
It was really interesting. I was in third grade, and so I was missing school, but I would like on days that I wasn't on set, I would be in my actual class. And I don't know. It was really interesting because so first and foremost, my first day when I worked with Leo for the first time, we went home and my mom was like, "Do you know who that is?" And I said, "No, that's my friend Leo." Like, "What do you mean?" And she ended up showing me clips of What's Eating Gilbert Grape. And I remember just looking at it and being like, "Wait, what?" He's like, people know who he is. This isn't just everyone doesn't know what they're doing and they're doing this for the first time. Um, but yeah, I mean, Leo was like just such a doll. I would sit on his lap in between takes. He would order me sandwiches and we would just talk. And then he would like chase after my sister and try to tickle her. And it was just that kind of like fun energy. I think Leo, being a child star, kind of understood what it's like to be in that environment for the first time. And this was on such an epic scale that there had to be some grounding, or else you just get completely lost. And I'm really thankful to all of these people who clearly had worked with children before and knew that you have to kind of center and not be so chaotic. Jim was hysterical. It was a lot of like, everyone stop doing this. Alex, do that again. But I was growing. So I had lost a tooth and then the tooth was growing back in over the course of filming. And he just one day got down and he was like, "I need you to stop growing. You're messing up with my shots because your teeth are growing back in." And I'm like, "Sorry, I don't know what to tell you." I had a couple interactions with Kate, and she was just so lovely. She loved my sister and her hair. She just was like, this hair naturally growing out of this child's head is wonderful. Yeah, honestly, I can't. Everyone was so great. And that was, I guess now that's kind of the shocking part to me is to sit back and be like, I had one of the best experiences that you could possibly imagine a child having on set ever. And there was so much trust put in me as well from Jim. I filmed my own drowning scene. I was supposed to have a stunt double. And I think the idea was actually that it was going to be one of the floating bodies. And then Jim decided that he trusted me to be able to capture what needed to be captured in this drowning scene. And so I did that at 8 years old. Like, just now that I'm really thinking about it, being an actor still, having that trust be put into you when you're that young really, you don't realize it at the time because you still think of it as play, but as an actor who has had to unpeel and do all of the work, I'm like, wow, it's incredible what children can do, especially when they're in a safe environment where they're taught that this is play.
I think it. I think there's a sense of fearlessness as well that's needed,
Yeah.
and not to, your sister was fearful, or the atmosphere. She responded in a different way to you, and you can't teach or train any of that. I've worked with
Yeah.
child actors that I've directed and auditioned them, and it's incredible the vast range of
Hmm.
fearlessness. I had to shoot an underwater scene in my first feature film, and there was this one little boy that I really, really had. I had my sights set on casting him, and when it came to us auditioning him in a swimming pool, he just couldn't do the underwater stuff.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. And it broke my heart, but I ended up casting the little boy who was just like, yeah, I can pick up the brick from the bottom of the pool. I can do this. I can hold my breath for this long. And and of course we made the right decision, but a lot of it was based on his natural ability. All of it was based on his natural. There was no acting classes that were going to happen between casting him and working with him, especially on a low budget film. And that's clearly what you had. And it's, some people also will extend that into, oh, it's self-confidence in a child, it's star quality, it's the thing that actors have, the X factor, all of those sort of cliches that we know about. And it's clear that you had and have that. And lucky Jim is what I'd say. Lucky old Jim.
Yeah.
Picture of that scene. Tell us about that your memories of shooting that scene, and it must, maybe it was a little scary, and also the experience not only of shooting such a dramatic scene with special effects, but I want to hear about the first time you went to a movie theater and saw the finished product.
Yeah. So the drowning scene was super, like, the drowning scene is kind of what made me truly fall in love with acting. Being able to do something, dancing with somebody or, seeing Kate for the first time and being like, oh my gosh, or that's in a realm of possibility that you live in every day. And to do a drowning scene as a little girl, knowing that this is the end and living in that space and then coming out of it okay and like realizing, oh, you don't really drown and you don't really do these things and there are safety precautions, and there's something about it that it's kind of what you're talking about, Alexandra, where you don't realize your fearlessness until you're put into a situation where, oh, people will crumble and you just kind of do it. That day was hysterical. We showed up for the night shoot. I met Linda Hamilton that night, which was really cool. My mom was like, "Oh my gosh." um and then yeah, so I had my little wetsuit on and my costume, and it was a set that was on a rig, and so it would be dropped into the water. It was a stairwell with a locked gate. And he explained everything that was going to happen. And he's like, okay, but we have to do the thing now. And I'm like, okay. He's like, we're gonna play pretend. Like, let's go. I love pretend. And he goes, okay, I want you to think about mom and Rachel, my little sister. I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about him. And he goes, I want you to imagine that they died. And I just instantly started crying. And he's like, all right, let's get it going. So basically, they dropped the set. So we're me, my mom, and my dad in the film are running up the stairs, and we get to the locked gate. I'm screaming, Daddy. And then the water rises up. You see me being picked up, and that's the end. It's a very, very short scene. Um, it was cut from the film because people didn't really want to see that. Didn't test well. And then yeah, so we had to do it a couple times because Precious Rocky, who played my dad, accidentally buoyed me a couple times. And Jim was like, okay, Alex, do exactly that. I want you to keep picturing what we talked about. And then he just was like, why would you use your daughter as a flotation device? Like screaming at Rocky. I felt so bad. It was already like such a rough scene to have to shoot. And he's just like, God damn it, Rocky. So we had to do it a couple times. The first time I saw the film was for the cast and crew screening. And I was not expecting it to look the way it did. I wasn't expecting Jack to die. It was just all so I'm just sobbing by the end of it. And I
You
remember
didn't know that. Was it a surprise? So you didn't know.
I
You
had no
hadn't read the
idea.
last 10 pages of the script.
No, I hadn't. Unfortunately, I was a really underprepared actor. Um, I had seen a couple little snippets of scenes. We had gone up to Jim's production company a couple times, and they had shown us a couple scenes, like the scene with Rose and Jack where they're spitting over the deck and whatnot. So a couple of those scenes, but then seeing the whole thing was just another level. And seeing yourself when you're little on that screen and you're just like, I remember that day. I remember that day. I remember what happened then. Oh, this is fun. And yeah, it was it was crazy. It was a beautiful experience. I then ended up having to see it like 11 times in the theater with my family. So then it got really like, okay, yep, we're still there. So yeah, that's
You were actually the age that many of our Titaniacs were when they first saw the film. You talk about going 11 times, and they went by choice 11, 15 times.
yeah,
And it ignited this passion, not just for the film and Jack and Rose and the story, but for the history of Titanic. Has
yeah.
Titanic herself become something of your life, something of a side interest, or it didn't hit you in the same way because you're coming from the prism of having been in the film?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm like a Titanic head. Um, you know, I just, it is really fascinating. And I have had moments where I'm like, oh, I would be really interested and maybe kind of, I love seeing, this is very macabre, but I love seeing the pictures of it on the bottom of the ocean. And like, there's something so lasting and so beautiful about it. And then you hear about, in X amount of years, it's going to be gone. And there's something, it's crazy. It's crazy to watch time go. Like, Titanic is a capsule of time and you can see it. And that's really incredible. And I think that that's kind of what my deepest appreciation of Titanic is. It has this history, and people really, really latch onto it in this beautiful way and are so fascinated by it. And I have such a deep appreciation for that. I'm just such a spastic movie head that I'm like, what's the next thing? What is the new thing that I'm going to be obsessed with for the next 4 months and then move on to the next thing? But I do think it's incredibly sad and it's incredibly beautiful. I actually just saw I just saw a one woman show at the Hollywood Fringe. It's called, pardon my expletive, but it's called Oh Fuck an Iceberg. And she does basically a one woman reenactment of the entire film. And in the midst of it, she reads diary journals from when she was a kid, and how Titanic influenced her to want to be an actor, and the journey of going from basically an 11-year-old girl to an 18-year-old to then an adult. and being in the industry and whatnot. It was really beautifully done. And so when I see things like that, it like really reignites that thing of not only was this ship so iconic and historical within and of itself, but then to have this film really reignite that and make people interested in it again, and then have the emotional effect that it did, that then changed the trajectory of people's lives. Like that's beautiful. It's just all around a beautiful experience.
I
Is it?
Yeah, I couldn't agree
Yeah,
more. I couldn't agree
exactly.
more. And in
Exactly.
fact, it's why in Ship of Dreams, Titanic movie diaries, I had to include the fans. Just to have,
Yeah.
a bunch of actors sitting there reminiscing about their auditions and this and James Cameron. Well, yes, interesting, super interesting part of film history. But I had to include the people that I had found who have made life work or incredible works of art, and that's what
Yes.
I consider, just the fans that I have in the film. There are many, many, many more across the globe, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to cross reference because also, we've just started to go to conventions and sign our photographs and
Mhm.
all this stuff. Monetization of this film is still happening, and
Yeah.
to ignore that we would not be here if it was not for those people who have embraced the story and the film in such a way. And I've come up against, studios, big producers, maybe sales distribution people who are like, the fans, not so much. What? You are completely
No.
missing the point. You are complete, and I get very passionate about it. You are completely missing the point. We would not be here having this conversation nearly 30 years later if people hadn't bought as many tickets as they had for that film. And
Yeah.
it's an absolute. I love the way you framed it and the way you put it, because it is quite an extraordinary, unique, and beautiful thing.
Yeah. I'm really, the fans are really incredible. They're just so lovely and so complimentary. And like I have a lot of people who talk to me and they're just like, seeing I have artist friends that are like seeing you do what you did inspired me to do what I do. And that's all because this film created this story that you get swept away. And it's so beautiful and it's beautifully done. And the fans, it's like you're saying, you wouldn't, none of these conversations would be happening. It wouldn't be one of the top grossing films of all time if it wasn't for fans. And the amount of times that fans would go to the theater to see it, the amount of times that, like, even going to when it was re-released in theaters and wanting to see it in 3D and all of that, like, it is the die-hardness of this fan group is so beautiful and they're so wonderful. Like, I really have not had an interaction with any Titanic fan that is anything other than this movie just did something to me and made my heart lighten up in a way that I didn't even know was possible. And it's an honor to be a part of that because of that love that they have themselves. Sorry, I'm like, ugh, I'm a little
Well,
dehydrated.
so for the fans, then let me ask you, and I include myself among the film fans. You got to be in that iconic heaven scene, the afterlife
Mhm.
scene where everybody gathers at the staircase again. Tell us about that day and the magic of movie making. Was everyone that we see in the scene actually there? Was it a long day? Was it a short day? Was it a happy day, a sad day? Take us behind the scenes of that iconic scene.
Yeah, I don't remember day specifically. I remember being on that set. I remember, you know, Jim was just like, okay, I remember, yes, all of those people are there first and foremost. That is a packed house. And we were all very strategically placed. He wanted specific people to be seen in specific spaces. And so being like right there up front and center before she goes off and sees him, my mom and my sister are actually at the top of the staircase over in the corner. You can see them. And it was just, it was that energy of like you're welcoming a friend that you haven't seen in a really long time, and you're very happy to see them again. And that was what was communicated to me, and that was just kind of what that scene was this welcome home, to someone that we've missed. And so just kind of being in that energy of the entire scene and going through it was really beautiful. And then they have this really lovely kiss, and it's all done in this really stylistic, beautiful way where the camera's following. And it was a really, for what I remember of it, it was just a really cool thing. And watching Jim do his technical stuff is always really fascinating. Like, you don't really understand it, as a little kid, but now that I've actually like been on more sets and I'm doing all these things, it's like the technique of what he does is so important to his storytelling as well. So being there for that nice, beautiful sweeping shot was really cool.
Sequentially, was that your last day of shooting, or no? Were you?
I actually think it was. It might have been. I don't really remember. Because I remember the first day. I don't remember the last day, but it might have actually been my last day.
And what about all the days that followed? Because now we need to know when Titanic went into the history books, where did Alex go? Tell us what happened to you and your career path.
Yeah. Well, I got an agent shortly after it came out. And that was hard driving back and forth from San Diego to LA. I had no formal training, so walking into different casting rooms and not really knowing what I'm doing because, I'm a kid. I don't know how to break down a script. I don't know how, like, you think that you have to hit emotional notes when really you don't understand that you're just experiencing and still playing. So the growing pains of that were really hard. So I ended up taking a break from that, just doing theater in school for high school, junior high, all of that. Went to college at Long Beach State, studied writing, moved to LA, started taking acting classes. My dear friend, one of my best guy friends from college, we were part of well, it was just two of us. We were a sketch comedy duo. So we filmed a bunch of silly little sketches years and years and years ago, which was so fun. And then, kind of thought I was going to give it up, didn't know if it was really what I wanted to do, kind of dove headfirst into restaurants and potentially moving my way up that way. Did that, hated it. I was like, nope, I'm an actor, I'm a creator, this is what I do. Went back to school, and now I've written my first short, and we are filming it in December, and I'm really excited. It's a Western. Yeah, and
Exciting.
yeah, so just kind of going the route of, if I have the tools, then use them. So writing, um, maybe end up directing, but I don't ever want to direct anything I'm in, to be honest. Like
What
that
about your
sounds, I
sister
don't
with
want
the
to direct
beautiful
me.
hair?
I know my sister. She's incredible. My sister's a horse trainer, and she was Miss Rodeo California and all that stuff. She's her own little fun, interesting person to talk to. She's fantastic. I love her.
Tell us the name of the film that your mother has directed. And if there's a link, we'll put it in the notes as well when it's coming out.
Oh, so she actually has been doing episodics. They're called The Man. She writes Christian-based films. And so it's an exploration of what happened during Jesus's time and how it reflects within modern society. So I can drop you a couple of those for her YouTube. I'm pretty sure they're on there. And then she also has a couple other ones that she's done. I'll link them to you for sure.
Do you
Yeah, she's
participate in any of the Titanic gatherings? Are you on the circuit, so to speak, of
no, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, it's become a
yeah,
thing. It's a
be
thing.
careful, careful. You go
They'll
down that
find you.
rabbit hole.
Like, wait, what?
We'll invite you along to the next one. I think there's a penciled date next April for the Queen Mary again. So it would be lovely to have you
Ooh,
back. Yeah.
that would be super fun.
Yes, as well as because you know how lovely these fans are. They're all
Yeah.
it's a mix of the historians and the film fans and everything. It's a lovely balance, actually.
That's really cool. I would love to. Let me know because I'm around.
Yes.
And okay, and I just want to have a what if scenario. If you were to, I don't know, walk into an airport lounge tomorrow and there was Leonardo DiCaprio sitting there waiting for his flight, do you think he'd recognize you? And or would you go up to him and tell me what would happen?
Such an interesting question because the part of me that's like, you know, come on, we were co-stars and blah 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 would want to. After Titanic, I one of my things was how often I was approached as a little kid. It was a lot for me because you're a kid and so stranger danger and all of these things, not really understanding that it's because people are really excited to see me in person and that they actually know who I am. And, there was that disconnect. So there's that part of that little like anxious kid part of me that's like, no, just leave him alone. Don't go up to him. He's just trying to mind his own business. And then there is the part of me that's like, whatever, like we worked together. We're co-stars.
Am I still your best girl?
Yeah, I actually one of my ex-boyfriends messaged me a bit ago and he was like, funny enough, I ran into Leo when I was working. He works in hotels, and so he had ran into Leo and he was like, hey, I used to date the girl from Titanic, Cora. And I guess Leo was like, cool, man, and just like walked off. People recognized me for a really long time, and then obviously I've grown up. And so a lot of people, what ends up happening is they'll approach me and they'll be like, did we go to high school together? And I'm like, are you from San Diego? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, no, it might be something else. And then I tell them and they're like, oh gosh, you're
That's
right.
a wonderful,
That's your
wonderful
face.
legacy to have. A wonderful legacy to
Okay.
have. Alex, we're running out of time here. We're so grateful, and you're so charming, and we love that you're now forever locked into our Titanic family. There's no
No
getting out.
escape. No escape.
Yes, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Beyond charming and lovely. It's lovely.
And keep us posted with all your
Yeah,
updates.
Thank you so
I
much.
will for sure. Thank you all so much.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review. And if you'd like to hear more podcasts like this, hit the subscribe button. For information on where you can see Ship of Dreams, Titanic Movie Diaries, go to shipofdreamsfilm.com. Titanic Talk is a production of Ship of Dreams Film Limited. We've launched a line of Titanic Talk merch. A cap, a mug, a tote, a t-shirt or a hoodie. You'll be sure to find a unique gift for the Titaniac in your life. Look for the link in the notes and on Instagram, or go to bit.ly/Titanic Talk Shop.